Hello, my name is John Durrell. I'm Director of Admissions in Engineering at the University of Cambridge, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to our Open Day webinar today. So in this talk, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Cambridge engineering degree, and then go on and talk a little bit about how to apply to do engineering in Cambridge. So a question I'm often asked by potential applicants is, should they study engineering or should they study physics? And it's quite difficult because both of these are subjects which require a good knowledge of physics and maths, and they appeal to very much the same set of people. I think what you should think about in this case is what you want to do with that knowledge. Do you want to take it and apply it to solving real-world problems? Or are you interested in furthering our understanding of the science that underpins that knowledge? And this is very much an individual question. So do lots of reading, read about what's involved in the different degree courses, but also don't feel that any decision that you make is one that's definitive, because even if you do a degree in one subject, you can quite easily go off and work in the other area. For example, I have a physics degree, and now I work as an academic in an engineering department. So why Cambridge? So Cambridge is unusual, if not unique, in that we do not offer degrees in specific areas of engineering, with the exception of chemical engineering, which I will talk a little bit about in a minute. So our degree and our department cover all the areas of engineering, from aerospace through to mechanical engineering. Now, that's not to say that you don't get the opportunity later on in the course to specialise into particular areas. What it means is students who follow the course gain a broad overview of all of engineering rather than concentrating in a specific area. So many people find that they really like the fact that they can study all of engineering before specialising, not least because you're not being asked to make a decision at the start of your university degree as to what kind of engineer you want to be. So many people start their course in Cambridge thinking that they're going to end up being, say, a mechanical engineer, and end up doing, say, electrical engineering. So it's a way of giving you an opportunity of understanding the whole field of engineering before having to make a decision as towards a particular speciality within it. Now, because we cover all of the areas of engineering, we're one of the biggest, if not the biggest department in the University of Cambridge. By some measures, we're over 10% of the entire university. We have almost 200 academics, twice as many as that of postdoctoral researchers, almost 1,000 graduate students, and 1,200 undergraduates. So we have well over 300 students in every year. For those who are interested, some quick statistics. The gender balance amongst those who accepted offers of study in Cambridge in 2020 was just over 26% female, 74% male, and almost 40% of our students are from outside the UK. We have a very international course, and there are tens of different nationalities represented among our undergraduates. So I said we have a very unusual structure which gives you a broad grounding across all aspects of engineering. From our discussions with employers, we know that they find the flexibility and broad knowledge of Cambridge graduates to be a significant benefit when they go into the world of work. Engineers who followed the Cambridge course can talk to colleagues from different areas of engineering and understand what they're working on. Of course, Cambridge is at the heart of so-called Silicon Fen, which is a whole bubble of high-tech industries which have grown up around the university. And of course we have extensive facilities and labs and libraries. And of course one thing Cambridge is known for is the very high level of student support, with, in addition to lectures and labs and other large group teaching, we have small group supervisions in groups of 2, 3 or 4 students with a teacher. So what does our course structure look like? So in the first year, we have an integrated course for everybody. In the second year, for those who apply for entry in 2022, you can choose to move into chemical engineering at the end of that first year. Now, chemical engineering are in the process of setting up their own freestanding 4-year degrees, so that route will not apply to anyone who applies for deferred admission, because then chemical engineering will have its own 4-year course. But for everybody else in the second year, again, we have an integrated engineering course. And it's in the third and fourth year where people specialise into particular aspects of engineering. It's also possible to do an exchange year in either Paris or Singapore. Or in the third year, it's possible to switch to what we call the MET Tripos, or Manufacturing Engineering Tripos, which is a small course which is very much focused on manufacturing engineering. And you can find more details of that on our website. And at the end of the 4 years, you graduate with both the Cambridge BA degree, Bachelor of Arts, which every Cambridge undergraduate receives, but also a integrated Masters of Engineering degree. So I'm afraid I do have to talk a little bit about COVID-19, which of course has significantly affected our admissions process. I'd like to emphasise that anything I say during this talk is subject to change, so please make sure you check regularly on our website for changes. But one thing I can say is that admissions for the 2021-2022 round are all going to be online, just like last year, and you can find more information about that online at the link you can see on your screen at the moment. So how does the admissions process work? Well, I've talked a little bit about choosing a course. You then need to choose a college, or choose to apply to any college by making an open application. And it's very important that there's an early UCAS deadline for both Oxford and Cambridge, although you can't apply to both, of the 15th of October 2021. So you need to make sure that you get your UCAS form in early. We have something called a supplementary application questionnaire, which allows us to collect a little bit of extra information. That's marked subject to change because the exact details of how that works may change this year, but in any case you will be emailed and given full information about how to complete that. And that's then all sorted out by middle of October this year. Now then there's an admissions assessment, which I'll talk about later, which is called the ENGA, and then an interview, which I say normally in December, and followed by a decision in early January. Now, with the changes due to COVID, it's possible that the interview season in some cases may drift into January, and the decisions, rather than being in early January, may be more mid to late January. But again, information on that will be posted as it becomes available. Now, choosing a college. So there are 29 colleges that admit people to read engineering, although 3 of those only admit people who are going to be over 21 when they start, and there are 2 colleges that only admit women. Or you can make an open application where your application is allocated to a college using a computer algorithm. Now, what I'd say about choosing a college is that the course that you follow and the education that you receive does not depend on the college that you pick. So the reasons for choosing a specific college in Cambridge shouldn't be to do with how you think they might how they might teach engineering. So I'd go online, I'd look at the college's website, look at where they are in Cambridge. Are they near? Are they close to the department, or are they further away? Are you interested in particular sports facilities? Do you like the look of the buildings? Go along to open days, talk to current students, get a sense of how they feel about their college, because each college has its own atmosphere. Although what I would say is, if you talk to any student in Cambridge, they will all tell you that their particular college is the best in Cambridge. So don't worry too much about picking the wrong college, because in the end everyone decides that they've picked the right college. Okay, academic requirements. Well, these are very important because, as everyone knows, admissions to Cambridge is pretty competitive, so it's important to make sure that you're offering the right qualifications on your application. So all colleges require maths and physics A-level, or the equivalent. So you have to have, if you're doing A-levels, both maths and physics. If you want to do chemical engineering, you're going to need to have chemistry as well. And all colleges strongly prefer applicants to be doing 3 science, maths, technology A-levels. There's no point in doing 4 A-levels unless that 4th A-level is further maths, and I'll talk a little bit about that, bit more about that in a minute. You can also combine A-level maths and physics with an applied A-level or a Cambridge Technical, or another qualification like that. Further maths is very, very strongly recommended. If your school or college can't offer it, you should tell us about that on the supplementary application questionnaire. There's also the Advanced Mathematics Support Project, which provides support to those who want to self-study further maths. If you've realised the importance of doing further maths too late and your school offers it as an AS level, it's a good idea to pick it up as an AS level in year 13. And finally, T levels are not suitable preparation for the Cambridge course. So what are our typical offers? Well, our typical offers are at the A*, A* level or higher, And colleges often tie those A stars to the most relevant subjects, which are maths and physics. And I think it's worth saying that the majority of students who are successful in being admitted to Cambridge achieve higher than A star, A star, A. If anyone's studying the International Baccalaureate, you're looking at requiring 42 points overall with 776 at higher level subjects. I won't get into American qualifications. If you're studying any other kind of qualification, such as Scottish qualifications, go onto the university website and there's a lot of details on exactly how we interpret qualifications from different systems, or you can email a college admissions office, or you can email the department on the email address I'll be showing you at the end of the talk. So what are we looking for in applicants to engineering in Cambridge? Well, we're looking for strong academic ability. So that means high levels of achievement and potential in maths, physics and further maths. The course is tough and challenging, so you need to be someone who's going to enjoy a challenging education. To get through a 4-year course in engineering, you have to be interested in engineering. So you have to have a passion or an interest for the course. And I think more specifically, for the Cambridge course, you need to know that the model where you study broadly before specialising is the one for you. If you know that what you want to do is a very specific area of engineering, then that's probably the kind of course you should do. If you want to do, say, aeronautical engineering and only aeronautical engineering, then the Cambridge course probably isn't one that you want to pursue. So what are we not looking for? So we are not interested in extracurricular activities that are not to do with engineering. So things linked to engineering we call supercurricular activities, and those are great things to talk about on your personal statement. But we're not going to judge you on the kind of things you've done that are not related to engineering. That's not to say that extracurricular activities aren't very valuable for individuals and are going to be very valuable in your future life, but it's not a basis upon which we select people to come to Cambridge. And that applies to things like evidence of leadership or sporting or musical achievement. These are all impressive things to do in their own right, but they're not something that we take into account in the admissions process. And as I say, it doesn't mean that Cambridge students are boring and only do the course they've come here to do. They have a very wide range of interests and extracurricular activities, but this isn't the basis upon which we select you. Okay, the admissions assessment. So we have the admissions assessment to give us more information about applicants and give us a sense of where you are in your education and how well you're doing in maths and physics. You can find past papers online for free, and there's an excellent video from Dr. Jane Buckle from the Cambridge Assessment Admissions Testing on the department website, where she goes through in detail what we're trying to achieve with the ENGA. So it's set in November. You need to register in advance, and for UK applicants, that's generally going to be organised through your school. Although if you have any trouble with that, you should get in touch with us. And there's 2 papers. They're both multiple choice questions. The first paper is essentially GCSE and AS level questions, relatively straightforward. And then paper 2, where we have multiple choice questions that might require you to combine multiple concepts or pieces of knowledge in order to answer them. So then we have the interview. Now, there's lots of myths about the Cambridge interview. The thing to know is that the interview is technical. We're interested in your maths and physics knowledge. We're not going to be asking you random weird questions about other things in a Cambridge interview. But you should expect to be asked questions that go beyond what you've learned in your course. So we might set you a problem where you're going to have to ask the interviewers for help. You're going to have to talk through the problem with them. We'd like to see how you think about a problem that you've not met before. So it's absolutely fine in an interview to ask for help. The worst thing to do in an interview is to say, we've not covered that in the course yet, and I'm not going to answer the question. It's fine to say, oh, we haven't done this specific area of maths yet, and ask the interviewer for some assistance. But we're going to expect you to be interested, able and willing to engage in problems that go beyond what you've already learned. And you can get a sense of some of the problems that might come up in an interview at the website that I'm showing on the screen at the moment. Other things about the interview, I guess it's easier online, but don't worry about what to wear. We simply don't care. You may very well be asked questions on relevant sections of the personal statement. So you might want to think about your personal statement, and if you were asked about it in an interview, are you sure that you could talk confidently about it? And the interviewers aren't trying to trick you, they have no hidden agenda. All they're trying to do is establish that your motivation and academic potential to study your chosen course, which in this case is engineering. Okay, which brings us along to the decision, which happens in January. Typically colleges will either decide to accept someone or not to accept them, but for about 20% of applicants who a college thinks are strong but they don't necessarily have space, they're placed in something called the pool, where other colleges can look at their application, decide if they're going to take them if their field doesn't look quite as strong. So it's possible that you might receive an offer from a college that's not the same as the one you applied to. But all this happens before you're told. And as I said, decisions this year may happen more late January rather than early January because of the changes due to the current pandemic. So, well, thank you for your attention and listening to my talk today. If you're interested in further information, you can look at the department admissions website, which is up on this page. You can look at the university admissions website, which you can also see here. And you can email the department on ugrad-admissions@aim.cam.ac.uk, and we'll obviously try to answer any questions that you might have.